You often get heartburn after eating. It's really annoying, isn't it? And you've probably wondered why this keeps happening over and over again. And it can get so bad that some people end up spending weeks in clinics. And even that, I've often been told, doesn't really help much in the end. Our experience is completely different, namely that the cause often lies in small, long-standing habits that you just need to notice. And that's where improvement can start.
I really need to take a deep breath here because heartburn is already such a massive and widespread issue. You probably know that pretty much every time you take medication, you're almost instantly given a proton pump inhibitor, a stomach acid blocking drug, as an added precaution. Because otherwise, there's always this constant fear-mongering about stomach acid rising up into the esophagus, leading to chronic inflammation as a result of it repeatedly happening again and again, over and over, without relief. It actually hurts you too. It's extremely painful, and in fact, it can even potentially lead to the development of serious cancer. That's why it's such a serious issue, and it really does affect a whole lot of people out there, more than you might even realize. Why does stomach acid end up in the esophagus? Normally, a ring-like muscle called the sphincter tightly seals the entrance to the stomach, ensuring that acid can't flow back up under any pressure, effectively keeping everything securely where it should be without exception. It moves into the esophagus. It's so effective that as long as everything's functioning properly, you could actually do a handstand right after eating and still no food, liquid, or stomach contents would come back up into the esophagus. But apparently that's no longer the case for a lot of people out there these days, unfortunately.
What is usually believed to be the cause?
Well, from the standpoint of nutritional medicine, it's well established that unless you actively take steps to counteract it, as we'll go into detail about later, things such as fatty foods, alcohol, and smoking can each significantly contribute to the issue.
But why aren't acid-neutralizing agents given then?
So that less stomach acid is produced in the stomach.
But is that really why too much stomach acid ends up forming?
No, not at all. It has nothing to do with that.
The reason is simply that it might then turn off.
Yes, the explanation is that the pyloric sphincter closes, but that has nothing to do with the treatment. That's also the crazy thing about it. So that's why especially this therapy with acid blockers in the first place. It's got plenty of downsides. Lots of things don't get properly digested, including things like vitamin B2.
I was just about to ask, we actually do have our own stomach acid after all, which we need in order to digest food properly. What's the point of reducing this stomach acid now? That honestly feels kind of like just treating the symptom, if you ask me, to be perfectly honest.
It's not just a little symptom treatment. It's full-on symptom management and has absolutely nothing to do with addressing the actual causes or fixing the underlying conditions that are causing the heartburn in the first place.
Do these stomach disposal products help? Do they even work?
Yes, sometimes they actually do help. It really depends on how advanced the acid reflux process is. If someone's been dealing with acid reflux for years and finally decides to try a proton pump hammer, that's actually what this type of medication is commonly called. It still might not make a difference at all. Sometimes surgery is really needed too. It's truly a system.
People often go into swelling, as I mentioned earlier, for weeks on end. I've had several patients tell me about it, and they all said it simply never got any better, no matter what they tried or how hard they pushed through.
Yeah, that's exactly why I think it's high time you finally told us what we actually believe you could really do, so that this nice gatekeeper can get right back to doing precisely what he's actually meant to do, sealing off the entrance to the stomach.
So that it can function properly. We actually discovered this almost by accident because our work is all about the body and helping people reduce pain on their own.
Pain, but other types of pain are actually always our main focus.
And I clearly remember this one particular case from back then. We had a woman who was actually undergoing pain therapy training who already had years of heartburn, I think 4 years. That was the person who had also been in the clinic. And then she came along to the course with her heartburn. And even back then, we already knew relaxing the diaphragm, that's tip number one when it comes to relief and healing, is all about proper breathing. Because none of us breathe anymore in a way that keeps the diaphragm relaxed. And you need to know, right where the esophagus enters the stomach, that's exactly where the diaphragm is. And when the diaphragm is tense, then according to our clinical experience, this particular closing mechanism, it's affected to such an extent that as a result, the acid is then able to move upward into the esophagus itself.
You could say it's sort of slightly pulled apart by this.
Whatever, I really don't go that deep into the technical details, to be honest. But the locking function ends up being disrupted in the process. Yeah, that much is clear. And we also told that woman during training to get this dory finished. And then we relax the branch image. At the end of the video, you'll get a pressure point, even 2 pressure points, where you can try it out for yourselves right away. And then some bets were actually placed as well. And it always reacted specifically to fatty food, to alcohol in particular, and to espresso, and then it was clear she'd get heartburn. And then we did this exercise. Maybe it's some kind of relaxation technique. And on Saturday evening, on the 3rd day of the training, she went out to eat with several other course participants and ended up having exactly those foods. And amazingly, she didn't experience any heartburn at all whatsoever. And this is just one individual case we've shared here, this Dory girl, but we've experienced it hundreds of times. And that's why the first tip is to breathe properly. What does breathing properly mean? It means not breathing shallowly, because when you only breathe shallowly, your diaphragm tenses up more and more, affecting this very area where the abdominal hold is, where the function is probably already impaired. And how do I relax my diaphragm? You won't believe it, but the best way to relax your diaphragm is a slow, steady breath out. And breathe out so much that it really becomes quite strenuous, because exhalation actively means stretching the diaphragm muscle way beyond its normal range. And the moment you do this regularly and build it into your everyday breathing routine, you've already got a good chance that it will gradually become more and more relaxed. And one kind of exercise is really easy to explain. You breathe in as deeply as you can, filling your lungs completely and holding it briefly, then slowly blow all the air out until there's absolutely nothing left. Then you pinch your nose, close your mouth, and try to breathe in, gently engaging that relaxed, fully stretched out diaphragm, activating it without strain. You try to contract it then, but it just won't budge. Right away, a vacuum forms that completely locks it in place and stops any kind of movement whatsoever. So you try to inhale, but it doesn't work. And you do this 2 or 3 times in a row, and if you do it every day, your diaphragm will gradually relax more and more, and you'll very likely notice the backflow of stomach acid into the esophagus becoming less and less over time, gradually improving your comfort.
Yeah, it just makes so much sense to me, and I truly wish everyone could understand this, because it's honestly such a huge issue. But I'd like to briefly touch on eating habits as well. That's exactly why so many people end up dealing with heartburn, particularly when they eat big portions late at night and then go straight to bed. And again, if the lower esophageal sphincter isn't closed properly, then of course this extreme acid flows up, because that's really between 1.5 and 2.5, I think. That's the pH of stomach acid. It's really, really acidic. Then it goes right into the esophagus. That can really hurt, you know. By the way, there are folks who have a constant cough and don't even know where it's coming from. It might actually be coming from acid reflux. It can reach all the way up into the throat area, so just keep that in mind too. That's why I've actually got 2 more tips for you. It's really best to avoid eating late meals if you're prone to acid reflux. Actually, avoiding late meals is always a good idea. And then there's the well-known, some might even say legendary, digestive walk to aid your digestion. Just head outside for about 10 minutes, roughly a quarter of an hour after eating. It also helps relax the diaphragm, since you naturally breathe deeper while walking, which in turn supports digestion, keeping it running smoothly. There's considerably less in your stomach at that point, and you've got a pretty good chance that your heartburn will decrease as a result, simply because of that.
So staying away from fatty foods, alcohol, and coffee, that was the second tip. That's actually not bad at all, and a solid step in the right direction. Because then the internal pressure is eased, so to speak, meaning there's less force actively pushing it upward from within the system. And maybe that helps a bit as well. Still, we don't see it as the actual root cause solution. The fundamental underlying measure is really about sufficiently relaxing the psoas muscle so that the mechanics of the gait aren't thrown off or compromised in any way whatsoever. And that was exactly what we promised. Tip number 4 is to go ahead and press on the points yourself, specifically 2 points along the lower edge of the rib cage right here. Let me explain. You'll join in right away, just as you see it. Go ahead and run your hands slowly along the rib cage, first along the right side, gradually moving higher up. Then you'll notice this distinct angle right there where the xiphoid process is typically, though not always, easily palpable beneath your fingers just under the rib cage. And right in that spot, if you gently press down, you'll suddenly realize, wow, that's actually kind of really tender. And that's exactly how you can tell the diaphragm is tense. This is something we understand from alarm pain receptors located on the bone, which start sending signals when the tension in the corresponding muscle becomes excessive or too intense, indicating a clear stress response in the tissue. They're so sensitive that the pain is really noticeable, and you just go in with your finger like I'm showing you. A little bit deeper. And then you'll already feel it. Yeah, that hurts. And then stay right there, don't overdo it. Just enough pressure that you can still comfortably handle it in a truly sustainable, manageable, and steady way. And then wait half a minute, maybe a minute, then you notice, oh, it's actually starting to ease up. So you can gradually increase the pressure a little, spend 2 to 3 minutes doing this on the right side, and then repeat the exact same process on the left side. And take a deep breath here, then blow all the air out. To really get a nice full stretch in there, and then afterward you'll probably notice things have already started to gradually shift or change a bit. Do it regularly, ideally every day.
Yeah, it's super exciting, and you'll notice really, really quickly what's happening in your body and with the heartburn. Because so many people suffer from heartburn, make sure you go and share this video, absolutely, because they're going to be absolutely grateful to you for doing this.